And we live, baby. We live, baby. All right. So this is honestly me apologizing now. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now, right? Because I was supposed to be live yesterday, but I got super busy with everything else I had going on yesterday, so I wasn't able to do the live yesterday. So we're doing it today, right? As long as I'm doing it today, that's what matters. So what's up, everybody? If you are new to my content, welcome. My name is Markia. I'm known as the Money Plug here on social media. I'm a board certified credit repair specialist and credit score consultant, and I use my platform to teach people all about your credit, right? What I try to do is I try to educate you all so that all the things that you're paying everybody else to do for you, you can do it yourself. So building your credit, repairing your credit, understanding your credit, these are all things, these are all powers that you could have. It's just you're really not asking the right questions. So I'm here to answer the right questions for you. Right. Let's get the Facebook going. All your credit questions. Go live. Go live. There we go. All right. So, um, weird thing today. So today, I went to Trader Joe's for the first time. So shout out to Trader Joe's, cause yeah. But my video blew up. So I did a Trader Joe's video because I was super excited about it being my first time going to Trader Joe's. Um, and so I did a video where I kind of like documented my experience there. What I also did was give a credit to hey girl. I wanted to stay on niche, so I did a credit tip, and it low key blew up. And so like now I'm getting all of these DMs and things like that from people who didn't really understand the concept behind the tip that I gave. And so I really want to break it down for you all to make it easier for everybody to understand. Um so in my video, I talk about the proper way to use a credit card, right? I kind of outline, I don't know why Facebook is giving me problems today. There we go. So I outlined pretty much the proper way to use your credit card, right? A lot of people, and we talked about this earlier in the week when we talked about generational curses, right? A lot of people are under the impression that your credit card should only be used in case of an emergency. What's up, William? It's going good. Let me tell you, I got all my little Trader Joe's snacks. I'm ready. So we talked about earlier in the week how a lot of people grew up on the notion that credit cards should only be used for emergencies, but honestly that's not how they're supposed to be used. Credit cards are supposed to be used in lieu of your debit cards, but a lot of people don't really understand that concept. All they can see is the negative, the cons that are associated with credit cards, and so it's very hard for them to see the actual benefit in them, right? So you got to understand first off that credit cards are meant to be used. They are not meant for you to get and then for you to allow it to sit and just collect dust. That provides no benefit to you or your credit profile or even the lender. Now, if you don't have the best credit, then even more so, you need to be using your credit cards because you are skating on thin ice. So these companies, hi mommy, everybody, that's my mother. So you are skating on thin ice. So you have to use these credit cards in order for them to find some kind of benefit to keeping you on as a client, because literally when you sign these contracts with these lenders, at any point in time these people can be like, you know what, I'm going to close your account because your credit score is ugly and you're not even really using the card. There's really no benefit. We're not getting anything out of this. So I'm just going to go ahead and hang up, right? I'm just going to go ahead and close this account and be done with it. We're not going to have a relationship anymore. So, in order to avoid that, I always encourage you guys to use your credit cards, right? You should be using them instead of your debit card because, you was going to spend the money anyway, right? And last week, earlier in the week, I used the example that let's say you go get gas. So if you go to a gas station and you get gas and the gas is $50 and you swipe your debit card, you spent $50. If you go to the grocery store, if you go to that same gas station, right? And you get gas and it's $50 and you swipe your credit card, right? And then you go home and you schedule a payment for $50, you still spent the same $50 that you planned on spending. It's just that if you got the right card for you, then you've probably got double miles or cash back or points for the purchase that you are already going to make. Now, this also ties into why you shouldn't be getting these cards just because you see them on social media and they're popular. You need to get cards that are conducive to the lifestyle that you live. So For me and my credit cards, I'm gonna make sure I have a credit card that gives me extra points or even just a little bit of points towards my gas and my groceries and things like that, because that's what works for my lifestyle. This is why I tell you guys, when you guys ask me what's the best credit card, I hate answering that question because I can only give you a general overview of cards that I find beneficial, but it is up to you to identify the credit cards that are actually the best for your credit profile and your current situation. Now, I see your question, Smurf. Somebody said, but only use 30%, right? Wrong. Use as much as you want. You can use as much of your credit limit as you want. The only thing I tell people is that before your statement date, you want to make sure you make a payment or make a series of payments so that your credit utilization when it reports is less than 10%. And I know that's a lot lower than 30%, right? Why do I go that low? And the reason why is this: if you do not have a 750 credit score, then you need to be maximizing every point you can get off your credit score. You need to be squeezing points out of sections and things like that. So you need to, in order to maximize the amount of points you're getting from your credit utilization, which is 30% of your credit score, you need to have that amount reporting lower and lower and lower, right? So that is why I say 10%. Now, if you're at 30% and it's impossible for you to get under, to less than 10%, then okay, that's your financial situation. But in order to maximize the amount of points that you are getting from that particular section in your credit score, right? Then you need to make sure that your credit utilization is reporting at less than 10%, right? $300 credit card. So what is the 10%? I don't know. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I ask Alexa because my math don't be mathing. Now going back, someone said, going back to a comment that somebody said about when I said about emergencies. Credit cards should not be used for emergencies. The idea that you should be swiping this card when you don't have the money to pay for something is a horrible idea that unfortunately has kind of been passed down, generation to generation, as financial situations arise. And we talked about this earlier in the week when we had the conversation about generational curses. Generational curses didn't start out that way, right? Generational curses did not start out that way. Generational curses were actually things people did to survive. This is what got people through at that time. But as times change and the economy evolves, things are different. Thank you. Emergency funds are for emergencies, and you're supposed to have that in advance. So if you don't have an emergency fund, then that's a separate issue outside of credit cards. But you should not be swiping your credit card when you know you don't have the money for something and you have no idea when that money is going to come along. That is not what credit cards were initially used for. That's not what their purpose is. So I love you, Plug, because you put people on for real. Thank you. So you're supposed to use these just like you use your debit card. That's literally why they look so similar. They act so similar, because they want to encourage you to use them more than you use your debit card. That's why they have the perks and the benefits and things like that. Hey! So, that was the conversation I wanted to start. So then it started a separate conversation for something else that I said. So I told people that I allow my credit card companies to charge me interest. And somebody was like, well, why would you do that? I don't let them charge me interest, and I got good credit. And first of all, the tips that I give out on my page, on my profile, if you follow me on any of my social medias, follow me on YouTube, y'all. But if you follow me on any of my social medias, all of these tips won't work for you. You have to be able to identify where you are deficient in your credit profile to where certain tips will work for you and certain tips won't. You have to understand that everybody's financial situation is different. Your credit report is very similar to a financial fingerprint in that it is very unique to the person going through this shit. So your profile won't match my profile. Now, for those of you who do not have the best credit score, right? The reason why you allow these companies to charge you interest is because you want to be a valued client, right? You want them to see the value in keeping you on. Because if you have bad credit, there is no incentive for them to keep you on, because now they like, well, wait, you don't pay your bills, girl. How I know you're going to pay me? That's literally how they're looking at you. So if you are going to charge you interest, they consider you a valued client because they know that every month they will be able to get money out of you. It's just that you control how much interest they charge you. I'm not letting them charge me an exorbitant amount of interest. I'm allowing them to charge me the bare minimum, whatever I am comfortable allowing them to charge me. But that also comes with, I know what all my interest rates are for my credit cards. I know when all my statement dates are. So, there's other situations that go on behind the scenes, but I know what I'm doing when I calculate my finances. So I know how much I can afford them charging me in interest. So I know what to keep my balances at so that I can keep my interest payments low. But by allowing them to charge me interest, they see the value in keeping me on as a client. And not only that, if you don't have the best credit score, right, you got to leverage the relationships you have with your lender. You heard me talk about that in that video. And if you scroll down on my profile, I have a video that's labeled 0% credit utilization. And I talk about why I don't encourage people to pay it down to 0%. When you pay your credit cards down to 0%, low key, that's signaling to the company that you no longer need them. Percent, that means you had the money on hand, meaning you didn't need to use their money anyway, right? Like clearly, if they closed the account, it wouldn't be no skin off your back, right? That's what you're saying. So with that logic, if you don't have the best credit and you're paying your cards down to zero and they're not getting anything out of it, they're not making any money off of you, what incentive do they have to keep you on as a client? They have none. They have none. And so that is why that tactic is a strong one. Also, you got to understand that transactional history is very important with these credit cards. Like I said earlier, you got to make sure that you're using these credit cards. So if I'm using my credit card and I'm using it all the time, right? I'm using it all the time, but I'm also paying it down, just not all the way off. Then what that signals to them is, yo, I'm noticing she always pay it down to this balance. If we increase her credit limit, that's going to increase the percentage of money that she could keep and still, stay under what her utilization goal is. I'm going to go ahead and give her a credit limit increase. I know her score ain't the best, but I know it will benefit us in the long run because we'll be able to charge her more in interest without it really being a big deal because her credit utilization will still be low. And in most cases, when they increase your credit limit, if you're not capitalizing on that right away, your credit utilization actually goes down because now you have more credit available to you that you're not actively using. I know a billionaire philanthropist that couldn't buy a car because her credit score was zero. Look at Dave Ramsey. And I know, let me hold up, because I know how y'all like to tussle when I get to talking about Dave Ramsey. But Dave Ramsey openly admitted that he could go out and buy an apartment building, but he could not be a tenant in that same building because he does not have the credit profile for it. When you don't make billions of dollars, then you have to have credit. Credit is a lot more than just credit cards, buying a house, buying a car. Your credit score can determine where you live, where you go to school, if you go to college, what kind of interest rate you got on your student loans. Like it determines so much, how much you pay for car insurance. Literally, your credit score can help determine how much you pay for car insurance. But a lot of people don't understand that, and that lack of knowledge and the fear of owing somebody money really keeps people from utilizing their credit cards the way they're supposed to be used. I'm doing debt validation letters right now. I hope they work. I'm crossing my fingers for you. People want to be rich and would have a heart attack if they saw a millionaire's balance sheet. Continued debt is based on risk tolerance and interest rates. Can you mention again how to remove old addresses off your credit report? Yes. So how you do it is there's really no, there's a million ways to skin a cat, I always tell people, but one way that has worked for me is first you want to make sure you update all your currently open accounts. So if you have a card that you're actively paying on, your credit cards that you're actively paying on, your student loans and all that stuff, you're going to want to get in contact with each of these companies individually to make sure they have your most recent information on file, right? That's the first most important part. You want to make sure they have all of the most recent information and they erase all the previously reporting information. Then you're going to want to go to the credit bureaus and you're going to want to update your contact all of your information with them. So you're going to say, hey, this is my name. This is where I work. This is my social. This is my birthday. This is my current address. This is my previous address. Anything outside of this information needs to be removed because it is reporting inaccurately. And because you've already updated your information with your currently open accounts, you really shouldn't find any issues once you send this in. Now, in the event that they be like, nah, son, I can't update it, it's just not working out, then you could try to dig a little deeper to find out why. You could go to the third-party reporting agencies to see what other debts that they may have that's not technically on the big three or anything reporting at all. It could be tied to your car insurance. It could be tied to your mortgage insurance, your renter's insurance. Those things that report to these third-party bureaus that don't necessarily qualify for the big three, they could be tying these addresses to your profile as well. So you really might have to do some digging if they reject you that first time, but a letter to the credit bureaus is how you would get that done. People need to discern their experiences and the information given. Yeah, I hate when people be like, well, this doesn't work. I don't have to do this and I have an 850. That's fine. Then this particular tip is not for you and you can keep scrolling. It's not one size fits all. Would you be able to assist with consultation tips before I do one-on-ones with a client? So I'm currently kind of exploring the idea of consulting with other CROs or credit repair organizations. Um, I'm still trying to figure out the ethics in it all um, on my end. But once I do start offering that services, I'm definitely gonna let everybody know. I'm trying to get a 750. Ain't we all? Shit. I have a 727 credit score. Is the Apple credit card good or American Express? You have to look at your lifestyle currently. So you have to look at the pros and the cons of these cards that you guys want so bad. And then you have to look at your spending habits. And do these cards align with your spending habits? Is it going to benefit you in any way? Are you going to be in a better position with this card or none of the cards? You really got to sit down and evaluate what your current lifestyle is and whether or not these are going to benefit you personally. Because I can advise you all day, but I have no idea what your financial lifestyle looks like. I have no idea what's already on your credit report to even tell you if adding another account is a good idea. All of these things kind of tie together. I need a 100-point boost really quick. Any suggestions? The only thing I can suggest whenever anybody be like, I need points real fast, help. Now, there is no designated amount of points that any one action has that hasn't been disclosed by any of the bureaus. But what I can tell you is that your credit card utilization is the most easily manipulatable. I don't even know if that's a word. It's the easiest to manipulate, right? So if you need quick points, then your credit utilization should probably be where you look first. The lower your credit card utilization when it reports, the better for your credit score. Can you just call it updated? I have one bureau that is incorrect. Now, you can make phone calls that may or may not work for you. I don't make phone calls to the credit bureaus or to creditors. And the reason why is because these people can tell me anything they want over the phone. Yeah, they record the phone calls, but if they say something they're not supposed to, it's nothing for them to delete or say they were never recording in the first place and things like that. I always get things in writing because I'm a firm believer that if we go to court, I can't say, well, they recorded it because they're not going to bring the recording to court. Whenever I have things on paper, that is a legally binding document, that is a legally binding contract between me and that creditor. So whatever they tell me on this piece of paper that bears their signature and the company letterhead, that is a valid agreement and they have to abide by it. That is why I be dead set against phone calls. But that's not to say don't call, right? You can still call. This is totally just a preference thing. You got the best of me. I don't know why old Mariah Carey songs are stuck in my head. What other questions you guys got for me? Oh, how do you continue to dispute a medical collection with a collection agency after they sent validated information? Okay, so let's say you sent out a debt validation letter and they validated the debt. It's nothing you can do. Now, when it comes to medical debt, what you can then do if they did validate the debt, they tied you to it, comb through the information, see if they violated HIPAA, because you can use that to get the debt sent back to the original creditor, and then you can pay the original creditor to prevent them from selling it to another collection agency. And if they didn't violate HIPAA, then the only other option you have, which is what I typically do for medical debt, and I haven't really ran into any issues, is something known as a pay to delete, which is where in exchange for either a portion of or all of the money that you owe this company, they will erase the account from collections. Because when it comes to collections, the only way to get points back from a collection is to remove that account from collections. So you have to pay them, and then this is another reason why I say get everything on paper, because they will agree, hey, if you send us X amount of dollars, we will erase this, and you'll have proof. So then if it's not done, you can send that proof of payment and the agreement that you did with the debt collection agency, and then you can go ahead and send that to the bureaus and they'll erase it for you. When paying off medical bills that have been sent into collection, should I pay the provider or the collection agency? Once the debt has been sent to collections, pay the collection company. Going back and trying to pay the original creditor isn't going to benefit you, and a lot of times not even a lot of times, they're not supposed to take the payment. The only exception with medical debt is if it is still with the main hospital or main agency that you owed. However, they moved it to a debt management department of the company. That's really the only exception, and I typically only see that with medical debt. Yeah, that's how you answer that question. I didn't even know nobody was watching YouTube. Hey, everybody. Let's see. Let's go back to Facebook. Look at some more you guys have. What was some other tips that I had gave out? Oh, so there's another video that I did after the Trader Joe's video because I did a video talking about late payments. So there's been a rise in TikTok videos where it's talking about how late payments are illegal, right? And that's a lie. Y'all can look me in my face. I'm looking at TikTok. I'm looking at you, YouTube, and Facebook. That is a lie. Late payments reporting on your credit report is not illegal. There's nothing illegal about it. And in that video, I even took the law that a lot of them use and try to manipulate it. And I explained why it's not illegal. That they love using specifically states that reporting late payments is illegal unless the creditor provides your monthly statement within no less than 21 days before the due date. And 9 times out of 10, your lender does that. Now, if you have late payments and and they didn't do that, then you can get your late payment updated to paid as agreed, but you have to provide proof that you did not have access to your monthly statement, 21 days out. Balance transfers. What about balance transfers? That's not asking me a question. Hi, can you please send me the name of a tax person? I only do credit. I'm sorry. If you have 10 to 15 credit card accounts, are you supposed to use each card each month? You should not have that many credit cards. I get that there's a lot of people who they flaunt the thick stack of credit cards and they're like, get like me because I have all this available credit. But again, credit is only valuable when you use it. So if you have 10, 15, 20 credit cards, using all of those credit and minimum monthly payments, because not using a card won't make it valuable. And this is why I always tell you guys, stay away from those people, because why do you have so many credit cards instead of getting credit limit increases the cards you already have? You see what I'm saying? You don't need thick representative of you having good. I mean, at the most, right? You should have like 5 cards, and that's only if you can actually use these cards. Even if most are store credit cards. Yes, if you are not using a card, you should not have it. I'm so sorry, Facebook. For some reason, it's glitchy, and I don't know why. So I apologize if you're watching on Facebook and it's cutting out. I'm not sure why it's doing that. This live be saved on YouTube. Yes, this live will be saved on YouTube. So listen, let's talk about store credit cards for a second, because you only need store credit cards if it's beneficial for you. Like, so let's say you go to Home Depot and you buying something one time, you buying light bulbs, and they're like, oh, you can get a discount if you get this credit card. Stop just applying for the card just because they ask you to apply for the card. They are incentivized to even ask you, do you want to get this credit card? So, they're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart or they think it's going to actually benefit you. They're only doing it because they're incentivized to do so. If you are not always shopping at this store, then there's honestly no reason for you to even have store credit cards, no matter how easy it is for you to get, no matter how high of a balance they're willing to give you. Thank you so much for the gifts. Now, the example I always use for this is myself, right? So I'm 5'10", I'm about 150 pounds soaking wet, right? That's really slim. I'm not going to have a Torrid credit card or a Lane Bryant credit card. What the hell am I going to get out of this? Socks? Like, it makes no sense. You see what I'm saying? If I'm not actively shopping in these stores often, cards don't make sense at all. So for me, I have 1,000 kids. So I have a Children's Place credit card. And it's beneficial to me because I spend a lot of money here. So that just makes sense. You see? You should only have credit cards that make sense. When your debt is sold to another collection company, do I actually owe them? Yes. When your debt is sold to a collection, there's no way around it. You owe these people. I know you guys hear all the time these people who try to manipulate the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and they're like, oh, but you don't have a contract with these people, so, and they wrote your debt off, and they don't pay taxes on it, and blah blah blah. I don't care what they say. It's all about what is proven in court. And this is why it's very important for you all to know your credit protection laws, because people can say whatever they want on this app. Literally, with credit repair, you can literally wake up one day and get online and say, I fix credit now. And nobody will bat an eye. But you need to understand the laws and the basic concepts of credit and how it operates so that these people don't finesse you, because they fucking lying to you. I'm going to be 1,000% honest with you guys. They are lying to you. It is not illegal for a debt collection company to have your debt. And you do legally owe them, because when you sign the initial contract with these credit card companies and with these loan companies, you give them the right to sell your debt in the event that they lose faith that you will actually pay them. You give them the right to do that. by accepting that this is why you should read the stuff you put in your name on. That is very, very, very important. And then like I seen another one where it was talking about medical debt is illegal to report because it's an instant HIPAA violation. No, it is not. And I just did I think I did like 2 videos on that recently. Like I want to say like yesterday or the day before yesterday. Medical debt, it is not illegal for medical debt to report to the collection companies. Now, what they report can determine whether or not it's a HIPAA violation. But a lot of you also sign HIPAA release forms when you first in process or when you first enter into a hospital and start doing intake. A lot of you are signing HIPAA release forms and just not aware of what that actually means. So we should close them. If you have credit cards that you are not using, yes. Will your score go down? Yes, it will. But your score will go down unexpectedly when they close your credit cards due to inactivity. I'm getting ready to buy a new car through my credit union. I'm financing from them. How do I get them to report my payment monthly to the credit bureaus? You just ask them before you get the loan. You say, hey, do you guys report to the credit bureaus? If they say no, then I wouldn't do it. I'm going to be honest with you. If they don't report to the credit bureaus, then there's no reason for me to use these cards. Somebody said, yeah, it's glitchy on your end. I'll go to IG. Oh, man. Man, I'm not even on Instagram. I'm on TikTok, William. I hope, damn, he's going to get over to Instagram. He's not going to see it. What can I do for Facebook? You know what, Facebook? What I'll do is I'll go live on a whole nother camera. Let's try this. Okay. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second so I can go back live on Facebook. Exit full screen. Return home. Go live. Let me make sure YouTube is still up. Yep, YouTube is still up. Webcam. I'll do it like this. It's gonna be, listen, FaceTime camera. Alrighty. Weekly check-in. Part 2. Y'all keep putting y'all questions in the comments. I'm definitely coming back to answer y'all questions. I just want to make sure that Facebook still has access to it as well. And for those of you who don't know, so if you're new here, welcome. My name is Markia. I'm known as the Money Plug here on I'm known as the Money Plug here on social media. I'm a board certified credit repair specialist and credit score consultant. I'm also certified in the Fdcpa, which is the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, and the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Bro, it say check your settings and try again. I'm not doing this with them. So should we close? Oh, wait, go back up some more. I know you don't do. Wait, can you stop talking to me in caps, Loki? It's kind of intimidating. Does adding someone onto your credit card as an authorized user help them rate their score? So yes, it can. And it doesn't affect you in any way, shape, or form. As long as you have 100% on-time payment history, as well as, let's see, MacBook Pro microphone, FaceTime HD camera. Sorry. I keep forgetting about that damn alarm. I gotta wait till the company. There we go. As long as you have 100% on-time payment history and your credit card utilization is reporting low, then yes, having, someone adding you or you adding someone else onto your credit card is a benefit. Now, as far as purchasing these trade lines, right? I never suggest that. But if it's a family member, somebody you can trust, somebody who can leave you there until you can afford to get yourself off, you feel what I'm saying? Then go for it. Will you add your children to your credit cards and does it give a head start? Yes and yes. You have to look at the individual lenders because they all have different ages. But what I was just talking about, adding on an authorized user, that is perfect for your kids because one, you're not opening an account in their name. You're just giving them the authorization to use your accounts. And you don't even have to give them the card. So it's not like you're giving them that responsibility of having to make that payment before they can really understand the enormity of what they're responsible for. But yes, that is a good way to give your kids a head start. What if the debt is old? I just got a letter about a debt from 2006. There's certain things there's 2 dates that you need to know about when it comes to your debt. And this is another reason why it's very important for you guys to understand how to read your credit report. Hold on, weekly check-in. I don't know why this isn't working, guys, for Facebook. I've never had this problem before. Tech issues, we back. I don't know why it's not working. Go live. Go live. There we go. Is it going to work? Is it going to work? Nope, it's not going to work. Oh, well. It's just not going to work. I guess Facebook is just not going today. So we're strictly on YouTube, guys. So you need to know two dates when it comes to your debt, right? Your date of first delinquency if you still have a balance on this debt, and you need to know the date of last activity. The date of first delinquency is going to be used to determine how long an account actually reports on your debt, on your credit report. Now, we all know that regular accounts fall off at 7 years, right? 7 years from the date of first delinquency if you have a balance. Now, if you've paid this account off, it'll be 7 years from the date of last payment. Now, once it's paid off, right? And it falls off, it falls off. Now, if you have an unpaid debt, then there's another date that you need to look at, and it's called your date of last activity. Now, this is going to require that you do a little research as far as your state, but the date of last activity is used to determine what is known as your statute of limitations, or how long a company has to sue you for the debt that you owe. Now, the statute of limitations can and likely will extend past the reporting time in most states. It all depends on the state you lived in when you signed the contract. So, for example, right, I think it's Rhode Island. Rhode Island, their statute of limitations is 10 years. So even after a debt falls off your credit report for 3 years, they still have the ability to sue you for this debt. So, and then, for most states, Texas is the only exception I know of off the top of my head, but most states have it so where if you dispute, if you make a payment, if you dispute and it comes back as validated, if you make a payment, or if you just contact the company and update your contact information, that resets the date of last activity because this is new activity on this account, and that effectively resets the statute of limitations, meaning they now have longer to sue you for a debt. So you need to look at those dates to see if this is still considered a valid debt. Now, there have been some new changes to the Fdcpa, and it went into effect at the end of November 2021. But if this is a debt that cannot be sued, like you can't be sued for, they're supposed to disclose that in the communications between you and them. They have to say, hey, we're attempting to collect on the debt. This is a time-barred debt, so we can't take you to court for it, but we just try and get our money. On one of your lives, you said you would inbox me the lady that does your taxes. On one of my lives, I asked you to inbox me so that I could send you somebody who does taxes. Nobody inboxed me asking me about who does taxes, so I never sent the information out. Is it okay to close those store cards if they haven't been used? Yes, and I encourage it. Yeah, your score will go down. I mean, but let's be honest, right? So your score is going to go down anyway if you're not using these cards and they close them unexpectedly, right? Right. I hate that this cut off on Facebook. The live cut off, but I'm currently live on YouTube and TikTok. Post. All right. Any advice for jobs when you live in a small town with a ton of people? I'm sorry, I don't have an advice on how to get a job. How are we supposed to know the hospital is violating our HIPAA laws? You have to know the HIPAA law. So a lot of y'all be claiming HIPAA and you don't even know what it means, right? So I just did a video. If you go back on my profile, I literally just did a video talking about why medical debt is completely legal for it to report and how the FCRA and the HIPAA low-key works together. So the FCRA states that it is completely legal for a medical debt to report to your credit profile for the purpose of collecting payment for services rendered or equipment or et cetera, et cetera. HIPAA dictates how the information is reported. So HIPAA never says that they can't report. HIPAA outlines what is allowed to report. They're allowed to report certain information about you as long as like it's encrypted in a sense, right? As long as the information that is reporting is not indicative of exactly what you went to that doctor's office for. So, these things work hand in hand to ensure compliance. That's why most companies make you or they ask you to sign a HIPAA release form. So in the event that, we have to disclose information about you in order to get you better care, in order to secure payment. Do you give us consent to do so? So even if they did commit a HIPAA violation, it's not a violation because you gave them consent to do so. So that is another document that you're going to want to look for if you're doing a debt validation with medical debt. You're going to want to look for the HIPAA release form. That's honestly one of the first things I look for. And then if I don't see it, then I try to see if I can identify a HIPAA violation. Now, if I do see the HIPAA release form, then unfortunately you you cannot use HIPAA as an excuse. And the only option you will then have is to try to identify an inaccuracy in the way that it's reporting so that you can get it sent back to the original creditor and pay them instead of having to pay the collection company. Now, most medical companies do pay to deletes. So if you can't get it removed, then you've exhausted every other option that you have. The only other option then is a pay to delete. And that only works with collections. A lot of people get collections and charge-offs confused, but pay to deletes only apply to collections. As soon as I had stuff deleted, I settled with the collection agency so it won't come back. Yes, and that is key. A lot of people think once something's deleted, that's it. They don't owe any more money, and that's not true. If you owed somebody money and you got it removed, you still have to pay. As soon as I had stuff deleted, I settled. Oh, I already did. Do I owe a debt that's 16 years old? I kind of answered that already. I know my comments are old. Give me a second. TikTok just be blowing me. Which DIY form should I get at the store for an account reported by collections company that I don't recognize? I don't know what store you're going to, but that shit is cool if you can just walk in the store and get them. Honestly, a debt validation letter. So a debt validation is where you ask a company, hey, I pulled a copy of my credit report and I'm noticing that you're reporting that I owe you money. Can you send me all of the evidence that you have that not only a debt is owed and a breakdown of that debt, but that I am the one that owes this money? And what did you use or who did you speak to confirm that information? And they literally have to send you everything tied to that debt. What resources do you use to stay up on finance and credit news? A little bit of everything, like the Wall Street Journal, Forbes. I literally live on the Fdcpa.gov website. And certain states that I have states where I typically get more clients in. I also stay up to date on like their state legislature. So if they're meeting about finance stuff or if anything pertaining to finance, then I try to keep an eye on those bills and things like that. But it's low-key a mixture of a lot of different things. YouTube, it's a lot. Like I'm constantly reading, I'm constantly learning, constantly kind of searching things for myself. Do repos fall off after 7 years? Yes, but again, remember what I just said. Just because something comes off does not mean that you no longer owe these people. You still owe, and depending on what your state statute of limitations is, it is possible that they could take you to court well after it has fallen off your credit report. A couple owed debt. Oh, I was joking about the caps lock. You ain't have to do that. I was just at my bed. I was just playing. I'm so sorry. I was just playing. A couple old debts that I paid came back to me from a new company. I can't prove that I paid. If you can't prove that you paid, then you didn't pay. This is another reason why record keeping is very important when you start this process. Maybe you can go back and get like old bank statements. I have no tips for you because if you cannot prove that you paid, unfortunately, you did not pay. The statute of limitations in my state is 7 years. Right. So 7 years from the date of last activity. Remember, the date of last activity changes. It can get updated. So if you've ever tried to submit a dispute on this account and it comes back as validated, that has reset the statute of limitations. If they've ever called you and they say, hey, can I speak to 82's finest? And you answer like, this is he, boom, that updated the date of last activity because now there's new activity on this account because now they're going to go in the system and say, yo, we verified this information by phone call. So that's a new update on your account. Hey, Will, I'm on YouTube too. For some reason, I think it's something going on with Facebook because Facebook won't even allow me to go back and stream separately from a separate device. Oh, let me try because I got another laptop sitting right here, but I don't have another charger in here. Nah, I'm just going to stick with TikTok and YouTube today. And then what I'll do is I'll post the YouTube in the Facebook group. For those of you who don't know, I do have a Facebook group. It's called Plugged In the Credit Clubhouse. I'll take the YouTube video and I'll post it in the Facebook group afterwards so that people can kind of see the whole thing. No activity since 2006. Then that is considered a time-barred debt. That means that they can't take you to court for it, but they can continue to pursue you to pay it. They just can't take you to court for it. So you have the option on it if you want to pay or not. Hey, girl, hey. What headphones are you using? So these are actually plugged up to my computer. I was using this for Facebook and YouTube because I'll be having a lot of texts and stuff that come through, and I don't want y'all hearing that, but I also didn't want to mute my computer. But these are my headphones for my PS5. These are the Sony PS5 headphones. They're just plugged up to my computer. Is there a law that says you have to pay bills? Yes. Yes. What? I found where the debt was from. Can I still contact the original creditor and pay them instead? No. So likely, not likely, but if they indeed sold it to a debt collection company, right? Then they sold the rights to collect on that debt, and they're not going to be able to accept payment. The only way you can get it removed from collections is to either successfully dispute it, or you can negotiate what is known as a pay to delete. Since you're willing to pay, you can say, hey, I'm not saying that this is a valid debt. What I am saying is that I want this shit off my credit report. So I'm willing to give you X amount of dollars, but only if you are willing to remove this account from collections and cease reporting to the credit reporting agencies. If they agree in writing, remember, you need to get this agreement in writing in order for this to be considered a legally binding agreement. It can be in an email, or it can be in a letter sent to your house. But once they agree, then you pay. Don't pay before. Make them agree first. I'm still mad about the whole Facebook thing. Like, this has never happened before. Huh? Oh, I'm reading comments. Y'all are funny. Does that rule apply to all or most creditors? Which rule? Like the pay to delete rule, or like which rule are you talking about? What other credit questions you guys got for me? Normally on Friday, so the reason why I'm live right now and it's a Saturday, right? Oh, pay to deletes only apply to collection companies, and it's up to the company to accept the agreement. They can still tell you no. So you got to make it worth their while, right? So when I typically start negotiations, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I be lowballing the fuck out of them. I start all negotiations for settlements and pay to deletes at 20%. That is where we start. From there, because I know they're going to counter offer, right? I know they're going to counter offer because it's less than 100%. So, when they do counter offer, it's not going to be higher than what I'm comfortable paying because I started off super low. So that's my logic. That's my logic. Mm-mm. You look like H from Ready Player One movie. I've never seen that movie. I'm so sorry. I've never seen that movie. Have you ever requested relationship documents on a collection? What do you mean relationship documents? So typically any documentation that I ask for, it's usually in the any documentation I ask for is usually in the debt validation stage. So when I submit my request for a debt validation, what that means is I want every single piece of paper that you have tying me to a debt. I see what they're talking about. I see it. Okay. I want every single piece of paper that you have tying me to this debt. Not only tying me to this debt, but breaking down what this debt actually is. And in doing that, you typically get everything. So I never really have to do another request. I've never heard of it referred to as relationship documents, though, if you want me to be honest with you. But usually when I do a debt validation, I get everything I need. Bought a car from a buy here pay here place and I want to give it back, it keeps messing up. So even if it is voluntary, a repossession is a derogatory mark on your account. Even if you give it back, they didn't have to come pick it up. Voluntary or involuntary, a repossession is still a negative mark on your credit report. What are your thoughts on extra debit card accounts? Okay, you like the eighth. I don't have an opinion just yet on extra. I'm still doing research because I'm seeing mixed reviews and some more stuff. So I'm gonna be honest, I don't really have an opinion just yet. Just give me a little bit longer, and I should have an opinion. Should, but I don't know. I'm still like on the fence with that. What other credit questions you guys got for me? Not people cussing me out. Well, not really cussing me out, but not people fussing me out because I'm not on Facebook no more. I liked your video on Trader Joe's. Oh, thank you. Let me tell y'all, I've been killing everything I bought. I think I done opened everything up and at least tasted a little bit. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I've been in here fucking these snacks up. I love Trader Joe's now. I'm bougie now. I feel like you can't be bougie until you go to Trader Joe's one time, and so like now I'm bougie. You know what? I'm gonna end the YouTube video and then I'm gonna go back to Facebook because it's really choppy and I'm not sure why. It could be my connection. So by ending the live stream and effectively kind of like rendering this key useless, I'm gonna go back live on Facebook. So if you're on YouTube and you're watching, I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties, but I'm gonna link my Facebook group in the comments so that you guys could go there and watch the second half of this video. Thank you for being a friend.